Hello and welcome to From The Rookery End. It is season number 15. We've been hanging around you like a bad smell for 15 seasons. Is it us? Is it the managers? Is it the owners that's that bad smell? Who knows? We're a brand new season. We thought we'd start off with what we like to have our fun podcast. Those sort of podcasts where we talk like you probably do before a game, chatting about the players and the memories and all the rest of it. And this is one of our draft podcasts. Well, we've got plenty of people to take part. In fact, the entire team are here around my house. Firstly, at the moment, team number one, they might share their name, but they might not, is Jason and Kieran.
Good evening. Looking forward to some of your curveballs this evening, John. I think we've got a team name. I think we're going to go with the Vicarage Bolds, won't we?
The Vicarage Bolds. Very nice. Team number two, the Brigadier, Colin Mace and DCW, both very recently back from Germany.
Jawohl. Guten Tag. We're not going to give you our name because we fear that it may give away our plan. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, exactly right. But me and Cole spent a lot of time together this last month out in Germany, so I think that's really going to help us in terms of our relationship and our harmony in picking these teams. I could see some fractures perhaps in some of the other teams this evening, particularly with this lot.
Team number three is Mike and Jordi.
Gauntlet very much thrown down from David there, Jordi, wasn't it? We are like. Was it Juan Mata and Rio Ferdinand that did a bit of the punditry on BBC? Jordi is Juan Mata. He's done all the research. He's got loads of lists. I've just got a bit of paper that says "win" on it. So I'm Rio. Jordi's Juan Mata, and look, these two to our left smirking. Oh, we've been to the Euros. We did a bit of karaoke. We stayed up late and had a German beer. I stayed on a campsite. We'll see.
But we've been sharing our summer with each other on our WhatsApp group, but it doesn't need to be shared with you. So this is our 15th season. What we do with this draft is the teams have to pick a Watford 11 from all the players Watford have signed since we started this podcast in 2010, 2011. Now, of course, you have to pick 11 players and you have to pick a manager. You have to also, and this is probably the bit where you're going to have to make some decisions, some good decisions, some bad decisions, but you might be forced into a corner and pick a player you didn't necessarily want to pick at the beginning. That's the fun of doing a draft, because there's a draft.
Sounds like being a Watford manager, basically. Forced into a corner, you will play him, mate.
I suspect we will have some very Watfordy sort of structured teams by the time we get to the end. We're going to take it in turns to pick. Now, of course, once a player's been picked, they're off the board. It's a proper draft, just like the NFL. You have to pick a player from each season. Well, actually, you don't. I'm going to put a couple of restrictions on you. You must pick a player from 2010 to 2015. At least one player from the first 5 seasons that we did the podcast. As you'll see on your sheet, they are coloured red. Then you can remove 1 year. You don't have to pick a player from every year. There'll be one. But of course, it's 11 players and one manager. We are now going to eliminate 1 year at random. So, which year... I mean, we talked about it and we laughed a little bit about how if you've got to pick a player from a relegation season, of course they're going to be rubbish. Of course they're going to be terrible. But actually, I think there are players in every single season where if they didn't have a great season that year, they probably did something good at some point and you're not going to be laughed at. There are definitely some players that you'll be cackled at and pointed at quite a lot at the first home game because you picked certain players. I'm not naming any names. You have the right to drop a season. It's up to you. You're going to have to, near the end, work it round and figure out where the gap is, what position's got a gap, what year you've still got to pick from. But we are going to eliminate one of those years now. So from 2015-16 through to 23-24.
There is a wheel.
Tell them what's happening.
There is a coloured wheel on the screen. It's like the Wheel of Fortune. I suppose it's Watford, so it's the Wheel of Misfortune. So a lot of effort has gone into this. Fair play to our leader, John. He's about to spin the wheel. I'm actually genuinely quite excited now.
I'm a bit worried. I'm a bit worried if it ends somewhere between 15-16 and 23-24. It's the same colour. And I think there could be a lot of arguments as to which one it's going to be.
No, I think you'll find out. The little programme we've got on the website, it tells us exactly.
Do we have to clap like they do in America when Wheel of Fortune's on? There's a spins round.
Spin the wheel. Spin the wheel.
Here we
Spin
go.
the wheel.
So, which year will you lose? Jordi, which year are you thinking we must keep that year? Is there a golden season?
I think there's less tinny seasons rather than golden ones. I think there's some seasons that no one's going to care about. There's probably some seasons where there is one or two players where if they go, you've lost them. Obviously, the Premier League seasons are going to be.
So most of these are all the Premier League seasons.
Get rid of the last three. No one's going to shed a tear, are they?
Well, that's the luck.
Absolute load of tut.
Let's see if my aim at cruelty is going to work.
So you're going to pick from those 3 years.
Here we go.
Sound effects as well. Superb.
We are losing. Oh! 15-16.
Wow.
That's a bit of a disaster.
Heads in hands all over the place.
No, that was it. I tested it a long time ago, Jordi.
This is where my approach to go entirely on vibes and not to do any planning is. It doesn't bother me in the slightest.
So that is Quique Sanchez Flores' first stint with the club, our first season in the Premier League.
It is, and it is, a Quique is a manager. You don't get to pick him, but there's some big old players in there. There was the big five we signed. I mean, Gerardo, Britos, Ake, Prudel, Capu.
Not Alessandro Diamonte. Oh, no.
Also, so there are some big players that did a lot for us that is not in your choices. Now, you do have a spreadsheet. It is not, and I'd like to point out, it is not definitive. If you think of other players that you can add, then please put it forward and we will do a quick check on Transfer Market. It's all players that played their first game in that season. So there might be players like Hernandez, Cucho, who we signed at a certain point, but the season you can pick him from is when he made his debut. The first time he wore a yellow shirt. So, the first picks, up to you completely. You can pick any position, any year. It's all up to you. I think there's definitely some downheads here, and I think the biggest regret is probably going to be Jordi.
I'm surprised he hasn't walked out. Not only did you leave his favourite player off the list, you've now extinguished his season from history.
To be fair, that season wasn't a very good season. So, we're going to go in order. So, team 1-2, then 3, then 3-2-1. So, no one is too far away from a pick. Team number 1, Jason and Kieran.
So we were a little bit surprised that we were going first. We thought we were going third. So this has had to make us rethink a little bit. But we think we know who we're going to go with. I will let Jason do the honours on that one.
So we are going to go for the very first season on the list, 2010-2011, because out of the bunch of players that are there, we're not going Andros Townsend, you'll be pleased to know. We're going to go with Troy Deeney.
A big player to start this game off. Team number 2, and the unnamed team. Who's your first choice?
15-16 being eliminated from the get-go is something of a blow for us because that was going to be the year of our first pick, and there was somebody in there who probably would have been the captain of our team and would have embodied everything that we want to achieve with this team. So we've had to rethink, but we can't tell you because you'll become clear what we're trying to do over the evening. So we're gonna go to 16-17 instead, and we're gonna go for Isaac's Success.
Okay, all right.
We're looking for a big man up front. And he's the big man up front.
And that is part of this. It's not, you're not just picking players, your favourite players. That is a big part of it. You've got to put a team together, and that's important. If you've got your strategy, we've been watching England, and they're always, the last couple of weeks, have they had a strategy? Is there a way of playing? If you're going for your big man, that's a good thing. Jordi and Mike.
I've got to pick up on these two. Isaac's Success. These two have gone completely feral. They basically want someone to stalk the back alleys of Berlin with, and they've gone for Isaac's Success. Goodness gracious! I mean, that's an absolutely sensational pick. I mean, I remember when I did it last time. I tried to do something. I tried to spell something out.
Yes, you did. Golden Boys Forever. That was it.
So let's see if those guys can beat that. But Jordi, well, you're the brains behind the operation. Well, and everything behind the operation. Talk to me, Goose.
Losing Etienne Capoue out the Wheel of Fortune and then Isaac's Success. I think I'm going to go. Well, we're going to go.
Oh, did you hear that? You were right, DCW.
Yeah, I'm going to
Fractures.
No. Because we act as one.
indistinguishable
You
between.
look at us. You can't tell us apart. Odion Igalo from 14-15.
If I'd have been on my own for 14-15, I'd have definitely gone for Bassong. Absolute randoms like that. It's good. It's really good fun looking back at who we've had through the ranks. But yeah, Igalo has got to be the one. He's the man. I think in all the time we've been doing the podcast, he's had his song sung the loudest.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, him and you could also argue that with João Pedro that it was the same song, just different words, just slightly.
Man, Iggy.
Interesting that all three of you have gone for a striker as your first choices. I wasn't sure where you would go. Of course, the limiting numbers you have more than anything, I think, are probably going to be the manager. There are plenty, but you've got to make good choices. But also goalkeeper. They're always some of the times the most important one to sort out. So, Mike and Jordi, you are for round number 2. It's your next choice.
Go on then, Jordi. What are we going for?
I think we're going to go for Abdoulaye Doucouré.
16-17. Abdoulaye. Whoa. Not the year he was signed.
We've gone for a musical theme for our team. So we've gone for Odion Igalo and then Doucouré, who we're basically trying to get a little CD out at the end of it.
I think Doucouré is a good one because watching the Euros over the summer, I wonder how many Championship sides or sides our size were mentioned so many times with players that have played for us in the past. And I think there's a load of players plying their trade in the Premier League or top flights elsewhere that people don't actually remember or realise played for Watford. And the fact that we had Doucouré for a decent stint is it's good. I think it's got to be a shout for him potentially being captain, Jordi, but we'll have a chat about that while the others sort of scrabble around, see which no mark they're going to go for next.
No mark. Honestly, parking, really.
I thought it was a bit competitive, but not this early, boys. Not this early.
We've got off to a flyer.
So, Colin, your second choice.
Our second choice, we haven't completely decided what system we're going to play with this 11, but we're certainly looking for character and charisma and presence and a certain level of physicality. So our next pick is Richarlison, which is from the something year.
There's something.
17-18 season. Made his debut on the first day in the 3-3 draw against Liverpool off the bench.
Had a wonder. The second game away at Bournemouth was he rose out of anywhere. That was probably the best one. So 2 strikers, first 2 choices. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Another one that people might forget was at Watford, I think.
Yeah, probably. The general punter probably doesn't remember, no.
The fact you've gone to 2 strikers, strong attacking side. Do you worry, though, you're going to have to forage around for defence?
Not at all.
Not at all?
Because we know exactly what we want to do, and there's going to be... and foraging is the right word, and we're going to find...
Foragers.
Yeah, we're going to find a lot of stuff down in the undergrowth, in the weeds.
Underneath the main stand, normally. That's where we'll be looking. Yeah, exactly. That's been there since 1977. So we know where we are.
Okay.
We know where we are.
Okay,
but
very nice.
Losing that season has hurt us somewhat.
I hope it has, because that's it. Keep it challenging for you, boys. Jason and Kieran, your second choice, please.
Right, I think we're going to take a leaf out of the mad, crazy guys to our right here and go for another striker, aren't we, Hollywood?
Yeah, we kind of are looking at the seasons where there's not maybe as many signings that have been made. Maybe later on it'll be a little bit harder to pick from. So our second pick has already been mentioned in terms of his song, is João Pedro.
Of course, made his debut. It was a relegation season, but it was the slightly better relegation season, let's say. We didn't go out with a whimper in 2019-2020. Another choice for your third choice, Kieran and Jason.
So I think we're going to go for a goalkeeper now. Yeah, we're going to go for a goalkeeper because, again, I think there might be some slim pickings. So when you get in reasonably early, I think my teammate's still checking. Has he decided which one? Are we going for that one?
I think so.
Yeah,
you think?
Let's do that. There's a lot of good players in this season, I think, but I think we're going to go for the goalie from 2014-2015, which is Aurelio Gomez, baby.
Dave, is that all right with you? Because
that's fine. He would fit into our 11 actually. But there are other contenders for the number 1 spot in our team, but. Yeah, you're welcome to him on this occasion.
Your choice now. Are you going for goalkeeper yet, or are you?
We're going to save our goalkeeper for a while because I think I'd be amazed if anyone else wants our keeper. I think.
Who knows?
I think we're going to go for somebody who could potentially be a prized asset from some teams. So we're going to go into the 12-13 season and go for Fernando Forestieri.
Nice work, partner.
Excellent.
He fits in perfectly.
It's all going to plan, yeah?
Maybe a front three. We'll make it work. Yeah.
Good.
That was 12-13.
Back to Mike and Jordi. Third choice?
Third pick, not our third choice.
Yeah,
I think it'll
third
be very
pick, of
much
course.
be
Yeah.
our first choice. I'm really desperate to try and scupper Dave and Cole now. So I'm thinking maybe we go for Thomas Kuszak in goal or something like that, or Pantilimon or someone like that. We've got to go for a random just to see if we can upset the apple cart. But I think we're going to play it straight for now, aren't we, Jordi? I think it would be remiss of us not to get this guy. A bit of bad news over the last couple of years of his career. He's had a few injuries, been released from our friends at Udinese. We're going to go back to 17-18. He made his debut for us. Arguably one of the best players on his day ever to wear the yellow of Watford Football Club. We're going to go for Jerry Delafeu, the Mercurial.
Yeah, he does come under your 17-18 because that's the season he wore the yellow shirt for the first time, even though he was signed. That was only a loan signing that year. Now, he's a fine choice because give us the time doing the podcast gave us probably part of that greatest moment, that semi-final that we had at Wembley.
Well, I was going to ask you, John, a quick go around the room. Which Wembley goal was better, Jerry's in the semi-final or Nick Wright's in the playoff final?
Jerry's.
Nick Wright for me.
There's no discussion to be had. It's Delafeu all day long.
I think technically, Delafeu's is the better goal.
The right goal is spectacular, but we were 2-0 down and he came off the bench to score that goal. And he completely hypnotised the defender who was standing in front of him, who didn't know whether to get tight or back off. He just stood there and let it happen and looked over his shoulder. It's a beautiful thing, never to be forgotten.
Another choice for you, Jordi and Mike.
We saw this guy's best days. I think he moved at the time when it felt like Sheffield Wednesday were signing all of our players. Went to Sheffield Wednesday, didn't pull up any trees with them. In fact, they were absolutely perplexed as to why we were waxing lyrical about this guy. Any Watford side with this guy in it was better. Who is it, Jordi? Who are we going for?
Danny Poodle. No.
He said it.
Alman Abdi. No, we got Doucouré's legs in our midfield and his late runs into the box. So we got the Professor to be a little bit of nous in there.
What a player.
Absolutely, because I remember when we did that, we did a vote, didn't we? The best Watford player of the decade, and the best Watford player of the decade, or was it that wasn't Troy Deeney? Because if we did a vote, Troy would always, of course, have won it. He was the first player we chose today. He would have won that vote, and Alman Abdi won that vote, and we did it over several different rounds, like a little knockout round thing that we did. He won, and all the Sheffield Wednesday fans couldn't believe it on Twitter. They literally couldn't believe it, how high we held him. We loved him. They didn't like him at all. So, you crazy fools over there, your fourth choice.
Our fourth choice, yes, we've agreed. He recently appeared at the Euros, in fact, and will be wearing the armband for R11. Kuchka. I'm talking about character. I mean, okay, he played for us in not a season that was a success for us, alongside Sissoko, but he played very well at the Euros. I mean, it was great to see him in that Slovakian side, piling around, and he fits perfectly into our 11. And he came to us and said, "I want to be captain," and we said, "Yes, Mr. Kuchka, you can be captain."
Are you going for players with questionable disciplinary records? Is this the theme?
Yeah, not really. In parts, but that's not. It's not the overarching theme of our team.
Yeah, because we don't want this again. I think what I like about what you're doing, boys, is you aren't picking players. You're picking with a certain feel to your team. Because it's quite easy to sit down and pick your best 11 and debate it. And if we all sat down and did a best 11, they'd probably be the same team. Or a few players here, they're different. We're going to put all these teams up for a vote somewhere on the socials where you can go and have a vote and see who you think did pick the best players so far. Jason and Kieran.
Right, we're looking to 2016, 2017 now, and we're going for
We're going for Bobby P. Roberto Pereira.
Very nice.
The racehorse, the thoroughbred.
So let's have a quick look at where you are with your teams so far. Jordi and Mike, you have picked Alman Abdi, Odi Nagalo, Gerard Delafeu so far in your team.
That's only 4 players, but it's already an amazing 5-a-side team. That's the best side in the room, no doubt, already.
Dave and Colin, we're still not quite sure where you're going with this, of course, but I'm intrigued. Fernando Forestieri, Isaac Success, Richarlison, and Juraj Kuchka. Left field.
Looking like a great cup side.
And Jason and Kieran, you've gone Aurelio Gomez, first goalkeeper that has been chosen. You also got Roberto Pereira. And, of course, you started off with Troy Deeney. As you know, I like to add some certain things into this. And I don't know what you've picked and exactly what they were, but the next player you pick has to be, even if you picked one before, a loan player. When they came to Watford, they were a loan signing.
Even if they've since signed permanently?
Yes, is the answer. Yes, you can. Now, if you were, of course, you haven't picked a team, picked a player from that 12-13 season. They were originally a loan transfer, but they were signed permanently. There were quite a lot of loan players before that, of course. You don't, unfortunately, if you want to go how far back we're going, 2010, 2011, it didn't, of course, include Tom Cleverley when we had him on loan. So I want a player who originally came to Watford on loan. You might already work to your system that you've already picked, but you need to pick somebody now. So Jason and Kieran for your 5th pick.
That's quite handy for us. We'd already decided before that, and thankfully he falls into this. We wanted to bring some eye candy to the team. So we've looked at the past 15 seasons.
Because the two of you with your bald name.
Yeah, exactly. We looked at the past 15 seasons. Who over that period has had the best beard and the most handsome man? And it is
Marco Cassetti.
Very well done. First on loan in the 12-13 season. Really an important player, I think, probably for Zola. Yeah, there's some quality players, but he sort of came in with that seniority. Probably a massive, massive player. And he was a joy to look at. And I still see, when you see a ball, those crossfield passes that we saw last season from Wesley Hood, I still don't see it as a Hood pass. I still see them as a Cassetti pass because he did them so beautifully. Dave and Colin, your lone player.
Okay, we're going to go right up to the present day from last season, 23-24. Another player who had a good Euros, impressed a lot of people for Georgia. So we're going to go for Georgi Chakvetadze.
Another man who epitomises what we're doing here. Plays with his socks rolled down, his chin up, his chest out. He's got presence, charisma, and he likes to tackle. Come on, Georgie.
Despite my earlier bravado, I do actually now feel a little bit intimidated. These two fellas mean business.
They certainly do.
But so do we. We're going to take you back, all the way back. And I reckon this is another one that if you are stopped 10 footballers in the football fans in the street, 9 of them wouldn't know this guy ever played for Watford. Jordi, who have we gone for?
Well, if they've gone for looks, we've gone for fashion. and kind of sustainability and kind of just being a good all-round chap. And so we've gone for Hector Bellerin at right back.
Oh, from 13-14?
Hector Bellerin had the most beautiful hair, and he was probably the quickest player, I think, ever to play for Watford, possibly. He was the quickest player in the Premier League. Ran like a whippet.
But we go to Jordi and Mike. Where are we going next in your team?
Hold on.
Caught us on the hop a little bit. We were just rejoicing in Hector. I was just away thinking about Hector Bellerin, weren't we, Jordi?
A little bit. You can show me your the new look you're looking to buy. That he's inspired you to buy these new.
Sartorial elegance high on our list. If this lot next to us are bruisers, we're about catalogue good looks and sort of just being ahead of the curve. Come on, Jordi, who we're going to go for? Whisper in my cell light. We can go. I don't want him.
You don't want him?
No.
Okay.
This is interesting because we haven't done. I think this is the first time we've done this as teams. So the fact that you've got to choose together. Mike mentioned the fractions in those teams. I think we've just seen the first signs of it all. The first signs.
I'm going to get Jordi to say this, but it is. I've sort of bullied him into it a little bit. Go on, JC.
Well, you haven't bullied me because I agree. I love this guy. He's my son's favourite player, and he gives us some width on the left. It's everyone's favourite Ken Sema.
If he was not picked at some point in this draft, I would have felt very, very sad.
Never let anyone down, has he?
Never.
King Ken.
He hasn't, and just to reiterate how much we love Ken Sema, he's cost us Ben Foster, Javi Gracia and Marco Silva, because he eliminates them through that year.
Oh, he does, yeah.
But Ken is worth it.
And also, of course, Mark Navarro. But, you win some, you lose some.
We move.
Colin and David.
So we've picked a front five. Well, I think we might add to that, but we've got 5. So what we need something at the back.
Hopefully,
and we need a centre back. It's probably vice captain. Would you think? Possibly. Yeah, he's certainly in the mix for vice captain. He comes from north of the border. He plays at centre back sometimes. Sometimes he runs all the way up the pitch and tries to get into the opposition box. And of course, we're talking about a man who also played for the Euros, although that's not our theme, and got sent off in the first game.
And won me 145 quid. Go on!
Mr. Ryan Porteous.
Wow, that decks you for your 2022-2023. So, Jace, go on, explain how you got all that money then, Jace.
That weekend for the start of Euros, I was away with my old uni buddies, and we were up in the north of England, and we decided we would go down the pub and watch the opening game. And I sort of mentioned to my mates, all big football fans as well, Porto, Watford fan, and I think made an off-the-cuff comment. Oh, he's a red card in the making, that boy, against the Germans. I thought, do you know what? I'll put a £5 on it. And
bang.
Bang, paid for the Sambucas for the rest of the night. So it's probably a bad move, to be honest. It wasn't my idea, the Sambucas and the other lads, but when in Rome.
Well, you should have gone for some Iron Brew, maybe.
Should have done, yeah. That had been the more sensible option.
Your 6th pick, then.
So I think we're going to go. We're gonna pick our manager.
Okay. First to pick goalkeeper, first to pick manager.
Yeah. So we're gonna. I'm not sure what. Colin's not sure about that.
Well, we were going to pick our manager. Well, we discussed picking our manager now.
So we're going to go. Oh, yeah, I wonder if this man's on your shortlist. I don't know. We're going to go for.
He was at Glastonbury raving the other week. We're going to go for Sean Dyche.
Wow. Okay. Very early on. So that's your pick for 2011-2012. Actually, that's the first pick on the list for that season, and you picked Sean Dyche. So, boys, a little bit of chat time. Figure out where you want to go. We're up to 6 choices. You've still got 6 to go. We're halfway. 5 players, 1 manager. Well, 1 manager's gone, of course. So you need to figure out if you're still happy with where you are, and we will replenish our drinks.
From the Rookery End, a podcast about life following Watford FC.
Refreshed, refocused, ready for part 2 of this Watford From the Rookery End draft that we like to do. We often do one in pre-season. They basically, these, like I said before, they're the fun conversations you sort of have, maybe on a away trip. And our plan of action this year with these podcasts, we're going to do what we call a match day podcast, where we talk about a game on the day, or at least the day after, ready for your Monday morning, so you can wake up on Monday and your trip to work or whatever it is, you can listen to From the Rookery End, just reflect on the game that happened that weekend, whenever it happens, because it could be all over the place in terms of the time of the kickoffs. But then for an away game, we're going to do an extra podcast where we might play a game like this, we might do a quiz, we might do a chat, we'll interview someone. We're going to do basically a bit more variety in the podcast, and that will be out sort of midweek maybe, ready for whenever you go for your next away trip. Plus, we're going to do loads and loads of other stuff. We're not going to put podcasts out just not just for the sake of it. It's always going to be a good thing. At least we hope so. So, Jason and Kieran, what was your team name, and who have you picked so far, and how are you feeling?
We're feeling good. Are we feeling good?
I'm feeling very good. I've just had a massive cookie, so.
He's on the ceiling.
It's all right, Hollywood. You'll be crying in a minute when the sugar rush subsides.
So
You've got to run around the house first, though.
Before we all come down. So the Vicarage Bulls have, so far, we've got Aurelio Gomez in goal, the beautiful Marco Cassetti in defence, the equally beautiful Roberto Pereira in midfield, and just as beautiful, the young João Pedro. We've got Troy Deeney.
They can't all be beautiful, can they?
And we've got Sean Dyche as well. Yeah, happy with the team so far. I like the fact that we've got Aurelio and João. We're sort of bringing that bromance back together.
And we think we're going to try and get another bromance with our next pick, hopefully, aren't we? So some company for one of the players there. So.
And I do like the fact that your goalkeepers, and your manager lack hair. So, you've got at least a couple. If you picked a bunch of players with really long, shaggy hair, I think they would have gone against your team name. You've kept that consistent. I'm happy with that. Colin and David, we know your names. We do not know the names of your team quite yet.
We can't reveal the name of the team quite yet.
I think we're starting to see certain things. You might be at home thinking, I think I might be able to have a good idea where they're going, but you never know.
Normal football sense would say that you build the team from the back. But in our case, we've built the team from the front, and we're working our way backwards.
So we're going to go for a 3-4-3 formation.
Okay,
that's
it's so modern. It's so modern.
Going to be a few players in perhaps slightly unfamiliar positions, but we back them to make it a success.
All right, Gareth.
And speaking of success, he was our first pick. We got him up front. We have got Chak Vatadze, we've got Richarlison, we've got Forestieri, we've got Kushka, we've got Porteous. So we need 2 more defenders, a goalkeeper, and another midfielder.
Well, I won't say squabbling. At least not squabbling yet. But choices have been a bit harder, I suppose, with Mike and Jordi. 2 headstrong managers in their own right in previous drafts.
Do not mistake robust debate for squabbling, gentlemen. This is how proper decisions are made by grown-ups. Not like these 2 squirreling off into the back garden, sniggering about who they're going to get next. Look at him. Colin can't contain his delight. So there are some proper football men in this room, and there is a proper football team being put together. Jordi, we didn't share our name earlier, did we?
No, we thought, what is it these players all got in common? And we thought Modgy's Money Box would be a good name for it.
So even if they don't win any games, at least that will be boosted by these guys coming and going. Pretty fluid in terms of our formation. We're going to deploy Ken Semmer as a left back, Bellerin on the right, aren't we? Where else have we got, Jordi?
Well, the benefit of someone like Ken Semmer is when you're doing these drafts, you don't know what you're going to end up with. So he's like a player that can play in various positions on the left, which generally need filling. So he could be a left back, could be a left winger, could be a left wing back. We'll wait and see what comes next. But we've got Bellerin, who's could be on the right, like Ken, could be a right back, or it could be a full back. And then we've got midfield, just beautiful midfield, really, of Alman Abdi and Abdoulaye Doucouré. Only danger is they run into each other when they call their names because they sound the same, and they don't realise that the one's called for the ball. But maybe just Dukes be better. Well, they could do it in French. I'm assuming Abdi speaks a bit of French.
Jordi, they'll work this out on the training ground, mate. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to look for. I'm just trying to make sure we don't have any more French players. If we get any more French midfielders, although my favourite French midfielder was eliminated from the beginning, and then we got Odio Nigalo, goals. You need goals to win games, and you need bits of magic, and we've got Jerry D up front as well.
If you're listening at home and you haven't got goosebumps, imagining this side trotting out with me and Jordi at the dugout,
you won't be in the dugout. You've still got manager to pick.
Just switch off now.
So it's Jason and Kieran's next pick, your 7th pick.
Right, we're finishing off the early years. We're going to pick from 13, 14, and as Hollywood's about to reveal, as he said before, we're about to rekindle another relationship at the back.
Yeah, we want another Italian in the back to communicate with Marco Cassetti, so we are going for Gabriel Angela.
Colin and David?
So I would say this player is probably the least appropriate for our team of all the players we're going to pick, but needs must.
He's not far off, though.
He's not far off, but as you'll see, he's probably on the lower end of the scale, but we can only work with what we've got. So we're going to have to go to the 1920 season, and we're going to shore up our backline by picking Craig Dawson.
Okay, no, I think, well, yeah, all right. I've got ideas in my head where you're going with this, and I don't think that's too far away from my ideas. Mike and Jordi, you got this. You got 2. Remember, because of our system, you have 2 picks in a row here now.
Well, perhaps we should have gone outside to do our picks because we were going to have Craig Dawson. So you've had the.
Can we trade, John? Is there any?
I don't know. Let's see how we go.
Let's keep that in our back pocket in case we need to.
Yeah.
I like the cut of your jib, David. Very good. Well, we'll see. But I think Craig Dawson's a really interesting choice because he kind of sums up the malaise of that time, doesn't he? He looked like a terrible signing for Watford. Will probably go down amongst most fans' opinion as a bad signing, and has gone on to have just an absolutely tremendous career in the Premier League. Sort of not quite having the pick of his moves, but being in demand, and it sort of does sort of reiterate a thought I've been having over the past 6 months, really, about how many ex-Watford players are still having tremendous careers in the top flight, and Craig Dawson's almost the poster boy for that. We got pilloried for the signing, but should have been really good. Anyway, one that did turn out to be a success. He's been on international duty, just like Colin and Dave, and ultimately, as with both these chaps, as far as I can tell, it ended in ultimate disappointment. Couldn't quite get it over the line. Who are we going for? Jordi?
We're going for Yasser Asprilla. He's been slim pickings really in the recent windows. He's got a song as well, so he'll go with Igalo and Decoure for our CD.
Ooh,
and we can even get maybe Baccarat to do Yes, I Can Boogie. We'll get a song of that as an extra one for him.
Can we swap Baccarat for Craig Dawson, lads? No. And also, like no one in this room, Yasser Asprilla's best days are ahead of him. So one for the future. So welcome aboard, Yasser.
21-22. It was, as we know, a relegation season, but actually 2 picks out of that, and I think that's the right thing. Every year there is at least a couple of gems. Even if Juraj Kucka isn't everyone else's choice, Dave and Colin as a gem. But you've picked him, and you're going your way, and we respect that. Next, you got 2 choices.
Yeah, we were thinking if we want to get players who have a natural partnership, we thought if we get Asprilla, who is the obvious player? Who springs to mind when you think Yasser Asprilla from Watford history? And we thought Jonathan Hogg. So... So we go for Jonathan Hogg, because with the strikers we've got, you need a player who's going to be going about the business of getting the ball for them and setting up iconic goals, and I don't think anyone does that better than him.
It's good that we've got Hogg and Forestieri, because obviously they both took part in one of the great.
And Dean.
We've got Deeney.
Obviously we've got Deeney, yeah, but we've got the supporting players in that.
Well, the only player that we haven't got from that run, we haven't got the goalkeeper, and we haven't got Anya, but everyone else so far has been picked from that Deeney goal.
I just want to ask a question of Kieran and Jace before we pick our next player. Who's your defence so far?
We've got Cassetti and Angela at the moment.
Okay, I think we should pick this guy, because I've just got a sneaky feeling that they might throw a curveball and go for him. I don't know. I'm not worried about the other one. It just wouldn't surprise me. Well, they are the Watford Bald 11, okay. The Vicarage Balds.
Go for it.
Okay, I mean, you might laugh at us for this, Jason and Kieran, but just in case anyone else was lining him up, we're going to complete our defence with going from the... Actually, this is the way I could have found out, but we're going to go to the 11-12 season. Have you been through the 11-12 season yet?
We've done 11-12, yeah.
Oh, okay. Forget all that then.
So I was more worried about the manager situation, because obviously there are quite a few managers to pick from, but there are a few standout candidates, and we want someone with a strong demeanour on the touchline to deal with this group of players, which I might just remind you, some of them: Porteous, Kuchka, Success. We need a manager that can control these characters, and obviously he was also will always be part of Watford history for taking us up in 2015. So we have gone for the laconic, lugubrious, terrifying at times, the man who never ever waited to make a change, and that man is Slavica Jokanovic.
So Slav is your choice of manager for Dave and Colin. Kieran and Jason.
Okay, so I think we're going to carry on filling out our defence, and we're obviously got to move into the fall, because we've picked from all the early years now. So we're looking at 18-19, aren't we, Kieran?
We are, and I think we've got Angela and we've got Cassetti, 2 Italian defenders, and although he ended up playing for Morocco, we are going to go for a 3rd Italian, if you like, and we're going to go for Adam Messina.
Okay.
Popular choice in the room, that's what we like to see.
So that is your 8th choice. Your 9th choice now, please.
So yeah, we might have to. We're going to go there, because that's because they're big. So we're now going to dip into the 2021 season, and again we're gonna fill out our defence with our final centre back, possibly, unless we decide to change formation or are forced into it. And this man, he's still with the club today. Again, we've got a very beautiful looking back line, and I think this man fits in nicely, and he's an international as well. It's Francisco Sierralta.
Very beautiful. Colin and Dave, your 9th choice now.
I think this guy, he's going to play in the middle. Right, I'm going to go for it. I'm not even going to consult you. So we're going to go from 20. We're going to go from 20. The 2021 season. We're going to go for a man whose flame burned briefly and didn't even really burn bright. Stipe Perica.
Really?
Yep. We're going to have the big. Was he Croatian? I think he was Croatian. You're going to have him up front. He's going to be our big target man with Richarlison and Success playing either side.
Terrifying. Defences will wilt.
Oh, that's the most left field they've done so far.
No, we've still got more to come.
Okay. Mike and Jordi. First, you got 2 in a row, of course. This is your 9th and then your 10th.
I'll take this first one. We're going to take a defender, and having the rug pulled under our feet with Craig Dawson, and having the rug pulled from under our feet with 15 and 16 going, so we couldn't get Etienne Capoue. Which your favourite Watford player, sort of in recent times, Jordi?
In recent time, who's that? Stephen Beck?
Oh Christ! Don't get him started. We haven't got time.
No. I think it's probably, for me, Capoue and Igalo are probably my 2.
Yeah, well, we couldn't have Capoue, but we're going to go for this guy who pings Capoue-esque diags all over the place. Looks arguably, I don't know, maybe the most handsome. We've talked a lot about how Watford players look. Arguably the best looking Watford player of all time, Wesley Hood.
As I've said on many occasions, his popularity with the mums at the Junior Hornets events last summer was astounding. So that's your one of your centre-backs, Jordi and Mike. Next choice from you boys, because we're on to your 10th choice.
Yeah, we're now restricted, obviously, by the seasons we've done. But if we've got, we're thinking about Junior Hornets events,
okay,
and the mum's being distracted by Wesley Hoot, we need someone who's going to distract Anne Swanson.
Okay.
So we're going to go William Trooster-Kong. She speaks very highly of him.
She loves William Trooster-Kong.
Community ambassador in a week where Watford have put out a really good video about all the work that Watford have done in the community, and they've got to remember what Watford did. It wasn't always this sort of signing players left, right and centre. It wasn't always about flair plays. It wasn't always about goals at Wembley. Community is at the beating heart of Watford Football Club. Therefore, it should be at the beating heart of our team. It's an absolute pleasure to have William Trooster-Kong on board.
I think that's the first season that promotion season, 2021, that we have completed. All 3 of you chosen from that season. What we'll do is once you all get finish these last 2 10th choices, we'll go through. I want to know what positions you got left to go. What last 2 choices you have. What positions and what seasons have you got left to pick from? By the way, if you're playing along with this, what we'll do is in the show notes below, like when you go into thing, we'll put a link to this file I've made. It is not perfect by a long way. In fact, it does weird things, and I can't quite figure out what it's done. So you will be able to sort of play along, and if you want to sort of use it to play along at home with your friends, then it's quite a it's quite. Hopefully, it's not exhaustive, but it's quite a list. Dave and Colin, your 10th choice.
We need a goalkeeper, and we are going to go all the way back to the first season of the podcast, 2010-11. I'm pretty sure this guy will have been on the podcast at least once. Who is he, Cole?
He's your man, Rene Gelmartin. Now, why we picked him is partly because he's a nutter.
Only guest ever to swear on the podcast.
Indeed, right. And wasn't edited out. Couldn't edit him out, presumably. Couldn't get the scissors in.
But he had beautiful hands as well. Beautiful hands for a goalkeeper.
But also, we have an Englishman, a Scotsman, a Georgian, a Slovakian, an Italian, a Nigerian and a Brazilian. So it's nice to keep that going, because over the past 10 years or so, we have seen Watford sides in which there were 11 different nationalities on the pitch. And we're not quite going to manage that, but we're going to get up around about 9. So we've gone for big Rennie Gilmartin. Not necessarily a favourite with the fans, not remembered for dazzling performances between the sticks, but a character that fits perfectly into our team.
Yeah, I mean, he came from Warsaw. He's had 2 stints at the club, and there's something about the character, I think, that brought him back to the club, and also the fact that he's gone on and he's the goalkeeper coach, isn't he, at Ipswich, So he's going to be coaching in the Premier League next year. So there's good things surrounding that man. If it wasn't always necessarily his performances for the Hornets. Choice number 10, Kieran and Jason.
Okay, so we're coming even more recent now, coming to 21-22, looking more attacking again.
Yeah, we've got Brazilians, we've got an Argentinian, so we want to keep the South American theme going. We talked about Nick Wright's overhead kick at Wembley. This guy scored an even better bicycle kick in the Premier League, and his name, Jason,
is Cucho Hernandez.
Very good. Okay, another season done and dusted. So we're on 10 picks so far, 2 to go. What have you got left to fill, do you feel, each of you? What are the years you still need to fill? What are the positions you still need to fill? Jason and Kieran first. Where are the gaps?
We've got centre mid to fill. We've got 2 centre mids to fill in. And we have 17, 18, 22, 23 and 23, 24. We think we know which one we're going to leave out, and we think we know which players we're going to go for. We'll see how that transpires.
Colin, what are the gaps?
We are looking for a left-sided centre-back / left-back to play in our back three, and we're also looking for a central midfielder to accompany Kuchka on our journey. And the seasons we've got left are 11-12, 13-14 and 18-19, and we're pretty sure who we're picking, and we're pretty sure no one else is picking them, and we're pretty sure which year we're not picking from.
So you can only pick. You can't pick from 18-19.
It's like chess with him, isn't it? He's worked it out. He's a
So
puzzle
you've got
solver.
the 2 early ones. You have to have, because you have to pick from those 2 seasons. You do. Mike and Jordi, what do you have to fill? Are you feeling you have to forage yet for quality?
Our team is so good we could stop now. It doesn't really need managing. The quality is out there. It speaks for itself, and there is so much talent in the defence, in the midfield, in the attack. We don't need a goalkeeper, but that's what's left. We do need a goalkeeper. We need a manager, the man that's going to knit all this smorgasbord of exciting talent together. We're pretty sure about who we want to go for, I think, Jordi.
The last year, 1920, which
sounds a long time ago.
The last time we won a wave, I think. But yeah, so we've got 3 years left, and we've got a goalkeeper to pick. So
goalkeeper and manager. Everyone else has got their goalkeeper. Everyone's got their manager. You two are the
the outliers.
Well, you still got quite a hefty list of managers list of managers.
There's slim pickings. Yeah, but because we have 2 managers per year, we've got plenty. 2 or 3. There's no way that we were going to run out of managers, so we're okay. Although actually, our initial plan was to have Gino Pozzo as manager, but
make life easier.
Yeah, but then we took Al Nabdi from year 2012-13, so we can't have him. But
Gino Pozzo.
Yeah, it's when he bought the club.
Oh, okay, fine. I got you.
So we figured he started managing Watford then from looking out. Like that Pablo Escobar meme where he's just standing there looking into the middle distance, like looking at his office with the stopwatch to make sure they're all training properly. So yeah, we need a goalkeeper, we need a manager, but to Mike's point, the team's going to play liquid football, and the goalkeeper's maybe we'll make him captain so he can do something like shake hands and do stuff, because he's not going to be very, very busy otherwise.
So pick number 11, Jason and Kieran.
Yeah, so for our next pick, we said we've got to fill our 2 centre midfield spots, and we're going to 17-18 for the first one, and the Watford captain that never was.
The one that got away, who is currently playing in the Premier League and got his place back under their new manager at Crystal Palace. We're going to go with Will Hughes.
That is a great shout.
It is a great shout. Dave and Colin.
Yeah, we quite liked Will Hughes, but we picked someone else from that year. But he just for his lip, just for his swearing and his attitude, he could have definitely got in. Also his character and that beautiful blonde hair. But so we're looking for a left. We're looking for a left-sided. We're looking for a sponsor. We're looking for a left-sided defender, and this player was brought into the club in 11-12, and he was a bit of a character, and he was a tough tackling left back, but we're going to bring him inside to a left-sided centre-back, playing in a 3. We think it's perfect for him. We think he's got character. We all know who he is. It's Carl Dickinson. Mike's just put his head in his hands. He can't believe what's going on. It's going to be the river of football, the joy of football against the cliff face of our team.
I was looking at his disciplinary record a minute ago, thinking he would have had more red cards. He only got 2 red cards in his whole career. But he did get booked 96 times in his career. In a roughly sort of 15-year career. So that's not a bad average.
I was in the away end of the game at Derby when Zola experimented him sort of playing in a centre-back role, and it was horrific.
Is he not one of these players as well who've done a podcast fairly recently who wanted to leave the club and threatened to essentially do the players in training if he wasn't allowed to go?
Yeah, he did.
Also,
see why you picked him.
Who knew that Carl Dickinson Discourse was going to be the longest part of the podcast? My brother once was Harry Hornet, and he said there's a lot of difficult things about being Harry the Hornet, signing autographs with massive gloves on, and also being clumped around the back of the head by Carl Dickinson. He said it absolutely snuck up behind him and just put one on the back of his... the Hornets have heads? Yeah, of course they do.
Yeah.
What, is that the most ridiculous question ever asked on the podcast?
I'm sure we've asked.
Does something that demonstrably has a head have a head? Right. Anyway, back down to business. I can't help but feel like you're attempting to sort of sidetrack Jordi and I because we're on such a good run. We're gonna.
You're finishing off. You're finishing off. You've got to choose your goalkeeper now.
Yeah,
and your manager.
And I think it's apt that you say finishing off because this is kind of like a story, a bit of a redemption arc thing going on. We talk a lot about the most famous games. We've discussed Wembley. We've talked about the Troy goal. But, of course, that Troy goal happened because of, we forget the last day of the season against Leeds when we still could have got promoted. Almunia got injured. And then our goalkeeper was brought in. He got injured as well. Didn't go on to have an amazing career with Watford as left. But now he's back. He's back in real life. And he's back in our draft. He's got arguably one of the best surnames. The social media team at Watford would be delighted that he's back. He's going to finish his story with Watford Football Club. Between the sticks, Jordi, we have gone for
Jonathan Bond.
Out of all the goalkeepers we've had over all the years, we've picked René Gilmartin, Jonathan Bond, and thank goodness, Aurelio Gomez for one of you at least. With much better quality than okay, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, they're your choice. They're your choices.
Well, hello to René and Jonathan if you're listening, of course.
So your last space to fill is your manager.
Well, I'd maintain that this team would manage itself, but league regulations do dictate that we have to name an official manager. Jordi has been the brains behind the operation, so I think it's fitting that I hand over to him to announce who's going to be at the helm of what basically would be the best side ever to grace the Football League pyramid.
Thanks, Mike. If I'm the brains, it's unfortunate this is an audio podcast because Mike is definitely the looks. And I think, just to go back to goalkeepers, the reason the goalkeepers have been questionable in the choice, I think, is the fact that the best goalies join with the best players, and we've filled our players.
That is true.
We've eliminated. We know we could have had Foster and Almunia and stuff, but they all joined when all the better outfield players were joining us, so we couldn't have them. So, for a similar reason, there's not many managers available, and we thought, well, who better than the man that's going to lead us for the next 3 months, 3 years? Who knows? Who knows? Tom Cleverley.
Okay, Big Tom, the current. And we always have to use that word current every time we talk about him for the next couple of months at least. I reckon we can maybe stop saying it after about 4 or 5 months. Is Jordi and Mike's choice of manager. We'll come back to your full lineup in a minute. Now, what year have you got left to pick from, Colin and Dave?
We have waited till the very end to get this guy, even though he's been on our radar since the very start. So we've got 13-14 season, the ignominious season that was, with Sanino in charge for at least half of it. This player, he rounds off our 11 absolutely perfectly. On his full debut,
Colin's got the biggest grin on his face ever.
On his full debut for us, he was sent off against Middlesbrough for a 2-footed lunge on Dean Whitehead, who went on to be Watford assistant manager last season. And a bit of extra background detail as well for about this guy. From before he joined Watford, he played for QPR. And on his QPR debut, he got sent off against Fulham. He made 11 fouls in 33 minutes. And that man is none other than Samba Diakite, who rounds off our 11 perfectly. And I think now might be the time for us to reveal
not quite
the
yet.
name.
Not quite
No?
yet. Let's go through.
Okay.
We'll have a go through it all. Here, where is he? Oh my God, where are you going, boys? So the last pick of this draft that we've been doing, Jason and Kieran, you got the first pick, but you also got the last pick, I suppose. You have got what position and what year?
Centre mid. We've actually got the last 2 seasons left. We're scrapping the last season and going back to 2022-23. And to keep the theme, we are going for the last cab off the rank.
Yeah, we've got South Americans. We thought we needed a North American. Obviously, only just walked out of the door, and that is Ishmael Kone.
I love the fact that every pick we've had, Mike's gone there and gone, oh, that's a good, oh, yeah, that's nice, oh, nice. So, everyone, listen to Mike Parkin, vote for our team.
We're the Orns, you're the Orns. Come on, you Orns!
And it was about here of the evening where something went wrong. Not long after this, anyway, at least. Something went wrong and the recording didn't work. So, to sum up their teams, I got the boys via WhatsApp to send me messages to say why they think their team was the best of the evening. You've heard lots of the rationale behind it already, but could they give you a final reason why you're going to pick their team above the others? Let's start with Jason and Kieran.
So the Vicarage Bold, we've got the multi-talented Aurelio Gomez in goal. A back four that has both aerial and technical ability right across the four. So Marco Cassetti at right back, Angela and Ciarauta in the middle, and Adam Messina at left back. A midfield pairing that can do both defensive and attacking duties comfortably. That's Will Hughes and Ishmael Kone. And then we can probably be a bit flexible and play a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2, but we have got Sean Dyche as manager, so it probably is going to be a 4-4-2. Our wide attacking, and they are quite attacking players, we've got Cucho Hernandez on the right and Roberto Pereira on the left. And then up front, we've got a pairing that can play as a pairing, or as a 9 and 10 with João Pedro just behind should he need to, and of course Troy Deeney in the number 9 position. That's what a team it is. Kieran?
Yeah, totally agree, Jace. I think what I like about this team, it's got balance. You know, you've got a solid goalkeeper in Aurelio. You've got 2 no-nonsense defenders in Angela and Ciarauta. Cassetti and Messina, yeah, they might not be the best going forward, but you don't need them to be good going forward because you've got Cucho and you've got Bobby Pereira in front of them, so they can concentrate on their defending, and you let those 2 wide players focus on the attacking play. Kone and Hughes, both technical. Will Hughes probably the one, like we said, that got away, but certainly worthy of being in our team. And then you've got goals in attack, haven't you? João Pedro and the leadership of Troy Deeney. What I like is there's a real mix in here, isn't there? You've got that South American influence with Ciarauta and Gomez and João Pedro, Cucho as well. You've got, North American in Kone. You've got that Mediterranean influence with Cassetti and Messina and Angela. It was really, I think, really balanced side. And I, to be honest, I don't think the other guys' teams have got a chance against this lot.
There was a lot of fighting talk throughout the evening, and it's still going on. Will you vote for the Vicarage Balds? After all their slightly left field choices, let's see how Colin and DCW's team is coming together and what on earth they're going to call it.
Okay, so our team, we've gone for a 3-4-3 formation. What it lacks perhaps in overall quality, it more than makes up for in fight and heart. So the back, we have Rene Gilmartin in goal. Back 3 of Ryan Porteous, Craig Dawson and Carl Dickinson. We have sort of wing-backs / wide midfielders of Forestieri on the right, Chakvatadze on the left, both cutting inside and just doing their own thing. Then we've got a midfield 2 of Juraj Kuška and Samba Diakite snapping around, biting at people's ankles, racking up the yellow cards. But nobody would fancy facing those 2 in the middle of the park. Then we have a front 3 of Isaac Success, Richarlison, and in the middle, the big man up top, Stipe Peritza. And of course, these guys are managed by none other than Slavisa Jokanovic. Cole, what are we called?
Thanks, David. So, That is some team, fit to take on the Championship. I think even on a wet Tuesday night going down to the Den, I don't think Millwall would fancy facing that team. One thing about this team, though, Jokanovic, who is a tough character, as we know, and also took us up into the Premier League, he'll certainly have his hands full in that dressing room. I mean, if he can keep them united, I think they could be a force to be reckoned with. But if things go wrong, then he could have. He could be working with a blue helmet and acting as a peacemaker. Now, as far as the name's concerned, I think it's fairly obvious what this team is going to be like on the pitch. It's going to be a plethora of cards and hard tackling and decent balls into channels for the big men up front to get on the end of and terrify the defences they're playing against. So we decided that we would call our team the Mad Bastards 11, and I don't think anyone can disagree with that. I do wonder how many games of the season, the 46-game season, how many of those games that will finish with 11 men on the pitch. But one thing I do know, and that is we are not going out of the Carabao Cup in the second round, away from home in some northern clime. This team will certainly relish that opportunity. Thanks, everyone.
That name is not a surprise. In fact, probably some people might call it something a little bit worse than just the Mad Bastards. So, last team. Can they persuade you to vote for them? Jordi and Mike.
Hey, look, credit where credit's due. The other guys have come up with great squads. Kieran and Jason's was particularly canny. I thought some really, really decent signings, ones that I hadn't considered, but when you hear them said out loud, I think pretty decent effort that. Probably the less said about Colin and Dave's, the better. We don't know when people might be listening. They might be listening just before bed, and we don't want to give anyone nightmares. But Jordi and I, we said at the start we were going to go on vibes, and we kind of did that. What we've done is we've created a squad that spans really nicely the duration of the time period we're talking about. We've got players who have played in some of the most memorable games in Watford's history. We've had some of the players that have been instrumental in this fascinating part of Watford's history. So if anyone was going to go and pay to watch a Watford team, it would be this one. Let's be honest, Dave and Collins is a bit of a novelty act. Jason and KT, it's a great squad, but they've probably played it a bit safe, as is the side that people are going to pay their hard-earned cash to come and watch. Over to Jordi just to run through it. But I would urge you, as Jordi runs through it, just luxuriate in it, just enjoy it. This is a Watford squad for the ages. Over to you, Jordi.
We've saved the best till last in this draft episode with the team we've put together. Modgy's Money Box. In goal, Bond, Jonathan Bond. The man, given the players in front of him, is bound to be the man with the golden gloves at the end of the season. And whereas Dave and Col have gone for fighters, we've gone for lovers in defence. On the right-hand side, Hector Bellerin, conscious of so many cultural issues. I think he's a vegan, and he'll be bombing up the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, Ken Sema, the player my son loves. And then the man that Anne Swanson loves in William Truce de Kong. And then the man, currently a Hornet, though we don't know for how much longer, also much loved, this time by the mums at the Junior Hornets events, Wesley Hoot. In front of them, covering the back, as Ken and Hector run forward, is Jonathan Hogg, doing all the dirty work, not taking the glory, but there when it matters, as we saw when he headed the ball back to Troy for that incredible goal. And in front of Boss Hogg, two incredible players, not Bo and Luke Duke, two players that create a sentence that you'd never expect anyone to say when related to Mike and me, and that is fantastic abs. Abdi and Abdoulaye Doucouré. What a midfield. With Hogg, we've got pace, strength, we've got guile, shooting from outside the area, we've got free kicks, and we've got late arrivals into the box. If that wasn't enough, up front, what a trio. On one side, Jerry, in his prime, player who was good enough to play for the great Barcelona, is now playing in this Modgy's Money Box draft team. On the opposite side, Yasser Asprilla, but in this team, he's going to be fantastic. On the right-hand side, I would have swapped with Jerry occasionally just to confuse the opposition. And up front,
the best striker we've had in the Pozzo era. Odion Ighalo scores 20 goals a season in the Premier League for us, entertains us with his chops that send some of the best defenders out, forcing them to get a ticket to get back into the stadium. Iconic celebration with or without Harry Hornet. And so that wasn't enough. In charge, not only a player who not only joined us as a youngster From The Rookery End podcast, but came back as a player to help support us. He led us on the pitch. Now he leads us from the sidelines, whether it's for the next 3 months or the next 3 years. In Tom Cleverley we trust, and he's going to be leading this incredible set of players over the last few seasons. Modgy's money box.
So there you have it. 3 teams put together in our From the Rookery End draft of all the players that Watford have signed over the last 14 seasons. The 14 seasons we've been covering Watford, and hey, we head into the 15th in just a few weeks' time. Thank you very much for listening, and do get in touch. You can get in touch via social media, at Watford Podcast, on the old Twitter, on the Facebook, and on Instagram. But also, of course, you can email podcast@fromtherookeryend.com with your thoughts and maybe your adjustments that you might make to some of those teams. Could you make Colin and DCW's team even scarier? I don't know if it's possible. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast, and thank you so much for listening for the last 14 seasons. We hope this is going to be a really great season for Watford. We are really, really hoping. We're not really expecting. And we will hope you can join us along the way while we have a lot of fun. At least do our best to have a lot of fun as a Watford fan this season. Come on, you Ons!